welcome back to another video. This one is going to be kind of an updated version of my TBR cart and my bookshelves as well. So I'm very excited to film this one. It's been, I want to say, about 6 months now, maybe 7 months. It's been a while, so let's get into it. This kind of section has definitely changed. It actually used to be behind me, and I did some rearranging in my living room, which I love. So on the top shelf, we have my current TBR for April and May. I have the 2 books that I'm currently reading off to the side, but everything else up top here. So we have Age of Vice, which is a mystery, kind of gang mystery thriller that is based in India. And I was really interested in this book of the month, so I'm really excited to read this one. We have the 5 books from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy that I have to read because of my Bookopoly board over there. If you haven't seen that video, definitely go check it out. It is the reason why I have to read all 5 of them in the next 2 months. We have Wayward, which is just a book that I really would like to read. It's very spring in the cover, so I'm really stoked for that one. We have The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, which is very highly anticipated, which is why I'm terrified to read it, but it is on my Bookopoly TBR for the next 2 months, so I'm looking forward to that. And then we just have some book sleeves that are themed with Game of Thrones and a couple Harry Potter ones as well. On the second shelf, we have my next, I would say these are my next anticipated reads. These are my current reads, and then these are going to be kind of the ones that I'm most excited about. So we have a couple romance books. We have one that is definitely highly anticipated, but I will most likely be waiting until October for. It's My Heart is a Chainsaw, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I really want to read the Millennium series as soon as possible, but then I also have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and I just actually picked this one up from Book Outlet, which is the second book in this series, so that'll be something that I need to read. We have The Book of Night tucked away back there. We have The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling, which is supposed to be kind of a comedic tragedy kind of novel, which is very intriguing. Improbable Magic for Cynical Witches, which is a YA kind of witchy romance that I'd like to read. We have Ariadne, which was the first book of the month that I picked up and still haven't read because I'm not in the mood right now for Greek mythology, and that's just where I'm at. We have The Writing Retreat, which I did actually start. Got about 20 pages in and then DNF'd because I wasn't in the mood for it, which is fine. That happens with us mood readers. I don't like to force myself to read something that I'm not in the mood for, so it went on the back burner for now. We have The Reunion, which I actually am really excited about as well. This one is supposed to be kind of like a romance the way that it was described was it has notes of like the show Boy Meets World, which I instantly was like, yes, I need to pick that up and try it out. So it's waiting for the time that I want to read romance. We have A Flicker in the Dark, which I know I'm gonna love because I absolutely loved All the Dangerous Things by Stacey Willingham, so I know this is gonna be fantastic, but I have to wait for that one. So those are kind of my next anticipated reads after I'm done my top shelf. I'd like to pick a couple from this one. And then at the bottom, very sadly, we have the books that are definitely gonna take a while, and I'm not planning on reading anytime soon, but they're here. We have a bunch of Stephen King off to the side, obviously. I have Wicked by Gregory Maguire, which is really just, it was an add-on when I got a bunch of secondhand books, and I was like, I love this cover, yes please, thank you. And that's it. The Book Thief, I would love to read. I definitely know that I'm going to enjoy it because I really like historical fiction that has a lot of war aspects and like just war stories in general, so I know I'm going to like it. I just have to be not reading a Kate Quinn novel right now. So it will eventually get read, but for now it's down there. We have Circe, which I DNF'd because I wasn't in the mood for a Greek mythology, and I will definitely get back to it because it was getting really good, but then I just fell off because I needed to read something else. I ended up reading a bunch of mystery thrillers in that time because I just wasn't into a Greek mythology, and now I'm into fantasy and historical fiction. So we have a literary fiction of The Goldfinch. I will eventually read that. This is a mass market paperback that I got for like $5, and definitely loving that for sure. I will. I loved the movie when I watched it, so I definitely know that I'm going to enjoy the book when I get to that. We have The Magician's Daughter, which is an arc that I got from a coworker, and I started it and then found out that I wanted the actual copy because it's missing the map that's in it, and I really want the map. I think that would be really helpful, so I kind of want to buy the actual copy now that it's out, but we'll see how that goes. Really quickly, I also wanted to touch on the back of it because I do have all of my sequels on the back. I have Shadow and Bone in this stack somewhere. I'm not sure which book it is, but it's in the stack over there. So I have the next 2 books in that, and then we have the next 3 books after I read Aragon over there, and then we have the second book in this duology as well because it's over there. And again, I don't know which one. I could probably guess that it's either this one or that one, but I don't know. And I don't know which one Shadow and Bone is, which is very upsetting because I want to read Shadow and Bone. I'm obsessed with the series on Netflix, but we won't get into that. On the sides, I have all of these book sleeves as well. I have my Bookopoly board over here, a salt lamp, and then all of my supplies for Bookopoly as well. These books down here are ones that I'm unhauling. I've already sold a couple, so those are just the other ones that are waiting to go. So now I kind of get to show you my pride and joy right now. I reorganized all of the books on my shelves, so I get to go through that. So we'll start with the easy one at the top. This is just my library supplies and some books that I'm annotating, as well as my journal there. So that's really not that important. My book stamp, some bookmarks in both of those cups there. This one shelf I'm really proud of. I have not read any of the Twilight books sitting here, and yet they look gorgeous and I love them. So I'm very happy that they're here. I will eventually be getting this sticker off of Midnight Sun because it bothers me so much. But I did get all of these for a discounted price. I got these 3 for $5 total for those 3. It's fantastic. This one on its own I think was $7 from Book Outlet, and then this one for the hardback I think it was $15. It was maybe less than $15, I'm not sure. And then we have some fantasy novels that I just wanted to look pretty, so they're there looking pretty. Down on the second shelf, I was able to get all of the Harry Potter novels in one place, which makes me very happy. And we have my favorite cover sitting on this side. I can't take full credit for all of these because most of them are my boyfriend's, but I can take credit for this one, and this gorgeous edition of the Philosopher's Stone with the red edges. So I'll take full credit for that, but the rest are all my boyfriend's. I did actually pick up the Tales of the Beetle and the Bard when I got this book as an add-on, and I regret nothing. It looks really cool with the collection for sure. On this shelf, we just have some miscellaneous fantasy novels. We have some fantasy romance on that side. We have Priory and A Day of Fallen Night in the middle. I would like the covers out, but they fit really nicely like this as well. And we have Jade City, To Kill Kingdom. I would very much like to read the rest of Jade City, Jade War, and Jade Legacy for sure. It will be happening. We have the Farseer trilogy, and I'm not really sure if I'm going to continue the Robin Hobb journey, but we'll see where my years go in reading. For the Wolf and For the Throne, amazing duology. Love the fantasy romance there. It is a Red Riding Hood retelling, and it is fantastic. On the bottom, you can see my dog bowl on that side. On the bottom, we have some dragon things. I wanted to keep kind of the, I don't know, these would be like the favorites aside from the entire Harry Potter shelf. We have the Lord of the Rings trilogy and Game of Thrones in one spot. So we have Fire and Blood, Game of Thrones, Clash of Kings, Storm of Swords, Feast of Crows, and then I have a Dance of Dragons in a hardback, so it's sitting really nicely, but I would very much like it in the mass market paperback to match everything else. It bothers me that I had Fire and Blood and a Dance of Dragons in hardback and everything else in mass market paperback. So as much as I don't like mass market paperbacks, I actually enjoy having them for this collection. So they all look really nice with each other. moving over to the final shelf. The top of the shelf is a work in progress. These are all of my mystery thriller novels for now. There's a bunch on my TBR cart that will make their way over here as well. And then we have my Rachel Griffin kind of shrine area. I'm waiting for August because there's another one coming out, and I'm going to be putting it next to Nature of the Witches and Wild is the Witch. So that will be a work in progress, but absolutely, I don't know what to do with all the mystery thrillers. I just have so many. I'd like them all on their own shelf, but for now they're just in a stack because there's so many, and I know that there's more over there on my TBR cart, and they will be making their way over here. So I have some graphic novels on this side, some YA books. I have a couple other, like those two are YA, but I like to keep my YA separate from everything else, but it's difficult when you want genres together. So then I have some random stuff here. So we have Beneath the Moon, which is just some short folk tales with some gorgeous pictures. We have a couple of romance books. I like to keep the smut separate from everything else, but there is some smut in the Bargainer as well as in the Bridge Kingdom series. So I'm not really doing the best job at keeping the smut separate, but I do my best. We have Song of Achilles, the Alice Network. This section in the middle is all of my dystopian novels. So we have the Divergent series, which I love forever. I will never not love this series. We have the Mirror Visitor Quartet, which is a series that I highly recommend, and I will be rereading it. I have all of the audiobooks on Audible, so I will most likely be rereading this series fairly soon. We have The Giver, as well as its conspirators. I prefer just The Giver on its own. Highly recommend. It's one of my favorite novels of all time, and I would say the rest of it you can leave. I loved The Giver. If you're obsessed with The Giver like I am, the other books are definitely a nice addition to the story that we already know and love. But if you haven't read The Giver, you don't have to read the rest of them. Just read The Giver. It's fantastic. Up top, I have one copy of Fahrenheit 451, the paperback copy that I would recommend to everybody to read, which is why it is the paperback in my collection. But I also have two other copies of this book. I have it up top on my top shelf because I'm annotating the hardback, and then I also have the exclusive UK edition, which I'll show you after, on the extra little shelf. We have The Handmaid's Tale and Testaments. I highly recommend Testaments, but The Handmaid's Tale, it was just, for me, I just really like the show, the TV show that they made for Handmaid's Tale, and it's fantastic. When you read The Handmaid's Tale as a novel after you've watched the series, it's not as interesting of a book, in my opinion. I loved Testaments. I thought this was a great addition. Highly recommend. If you've watched the TV show, I highly recommend reading Testaments. It was phenomenal. We have the Hunger Games, obviously, and that's all the dystopian that I have for right now. I have some more coming in. Very excited about it, but that's all I have for now. And then we have the bottom, which is a small section of nonfiction. So we have I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy, Crying in H Mart, Tom Felton's Beyond the Wand, and then 2 Mark Manson books, which I might be getting rid of because they kind of don't fit my type of nonfiction. They're more of self-help novels, and I got rid of all my self-help novels because they're not helpful. And then we have some horror. This is my small, tiny horror section now. As you saw on my TBR cart, I have quite a bit of Stephen King over there and some other horror type books. They will be making their way over here eventually, and when that happens, I'll most likely be getting rid of Gallant. That's going to break a lot of people's hearts, but I really wanted to love it. I even have the signed edition. Like, not to rant or anything, but I have like this exclusive signed edition of Gallant. It's gorgeous, and I just really didn't like the book. It's really upsetting. I thought I was gonna love it. The concept was really, really cool, and I was really disappointed that I think I gave it like 2 stars. It was really disappointing. But for now, we have Death Note, the all-in-one edition, which I highly recommend. It is my favorite anime, and will always be forever. Even if you don't watch anime or you don't read manga, read Death Note, watch Death Note. I don't care who you are, I don't care what culture you're from, watch it. Thank you. We have 1 Stephen King, we have 2 Stephen King. These are both, so far, amazing. Dreamcatcher, I would definitely say, is a little much for some people, but it has the aspects of aliens like it promises, and the cover is gorgeous on this one, so it's staying in my collection. Lisey's Story, if you haven't read, highly recommend. You will not be disappointed. It was a 5-star read. I will continuously give it 5 stars. I'll probably be rereading it. I have the audiobook as well. Probably going to reread that one, but 10 out of 10. Highly recommend. Hidden Pictures was shocking, and it kept me interested, and it just kept me going. The photos in here are terrifying. The story is a little terrifying. It's fantastic. Horror Store, I know a lot of people have like some issues with. Now, I don't have any beef with Horror Store. The way that they made it is an IKEA catalog. You already know that it's going to be a parody. You already know that it's not going to be taken seriously, and that's kind of the point. So if anybody has read Horror Store and just didn't like it, that's okay. I think that's how they made it. Was that some people were going to love it and some people were going to be like, what the heck is this? And they were okay with that because they made it as a parody. I loved it. I thought it was intriguing. If you like stories that are told over like one night, it's basically a haunted house story told over one day, one night. and I think it's phenomenal. Yeah, it was really fantastic. I gave it, I think, like 3.5 or 4 stars. It's not a 5-star. It's still kind of not for everybody, but I loved it. So that is my current bookshelves, and now I will show you the last little extra shelf that I have. So this is my favorites shelf. This is in my living room. My dog is sitting very nicely on her bed and hopefully will not be making any noise for this last couple of minutes. So this is my favorites, and we have a special edition of the Giver Quartet. We have Fahrenheit 451. We have another copy of Verity as well, which is the exclusive collector's edition with an extra chapter. We have The Art of Racing in the Rain, which I would very much like another copy of because I'd like to annotate this copy, so I will probably be buying another copy. And then we have Stay Awake, which I'm very, very much anticipating the second book in this duology. This was a 5-star read, and it's going to stay on my favorites shelf forever. So that is going to do it for today, and I hope you all enjoyed this little tour, and I will see you guys in the next video.